Hi, so today I watched this interview on a channel called Sea Scout with this founder called Daniel Gross, and he's the interview. Yeah, um, so I started following Y Combinator from like beginning of this year, and I follow all of their partners and everyone that's done the lectures, and I found it very energizing. And um, today, this interview is with one of their former partners, Daniel Gross. And as you can see, he's like super young, but he's a millionaire. Yes, so I just was interested in what he has to say. In this interview, he was mentioning that uh, how in his idea of how he got started, he filled an application form to come to join Y Combinator when he was 19 years old in Israel, where is his homeland is, and he got accepted and come to Silicon Valley. And he described that Silicon Valley is kind of it doesn't really have a lot of secret or anything that's not, he doesn't have it. Silicon Valley doesn't have a secret sort of like book that everybody has to learn in order to be successful. It's mainly the mindset that you can grow something really really big and by individuals. And because in Silicon Valley, you can see the company started by, just simple guys in their garages. Um, when he got in there, and he just can see the scale of how everything is and how things can grow from exponentially from 2 to 4 to, huge. And I think it's that atmosphere and the mindset that really affect a lot of founders there to be successful, because they now realizing that it is achievable and that you can do things like that. Another thing I found him very very intriguing is that the idea of his idea of how everyone or a large percentage of people can build something big, and they don't have to be uh, super people, Superman. Like when he came to this realization when he come to Silicon Valley and see Mark Zuckerberg and on his lectures. Um, when he sees that, he's kind of thinking, this guy is my age and he talks just like me, and um, has a background of engineering and so on, and he can build $1 billion company as big as that. Like, so can I. I think that idea is like what drives him to become this in this young age. His company um, Q was a search engine, and it was acquired by Google, and it was acquired by Apple, and then he worked in Apple for a few years before joining Y Combinator, which is an incubator to founders of other companies such as Airbnb and um, Uber, and in many other big companies. So so to have that millionaire mindset is just like, he feel like anybody can be doing this. And I found more than one millionaire said that anyone can do this, and it's not just a special chosen people that can do this. And he said that something also very interesting is that a lot of these high performance people, like, doctors, engineers, and people who have very huge drive, are the ones who are quite insecure and quite self-critical. Like, they might be working on something, and then they halfway through, they've been so critical of themselves that they stop working altogether because they just feel like it's not good enough and they can't put this out there. And I think that's very, very true. Like, with people who are high achieving and hard and work hard, they always feel like they are not good enough and they can't put something out there until it's representative of who they are. But this is not the right way to approach it. And he's now founding a big company called Pioneer, and that sort of, is even earlier than the beginner founder. Is for those people who hasn't got a company yet. They just have an idea and they want to work through it. And the idea is to provide a community of other people who are actually also doing things like that, and provide support, mentorship, and validation for young budding talents to continue working on their project, even if they don't feel like it's quite ready for the market yet. And I feel like that's a very powerful thought. Just like, he bets his money on it because he really believes that anybody with a bit of persistence and hard work, and maybe like ways understanding how things work, can achieve big things. This is the same with what I heard from other entrepreneurs, is that success is like mud. You just keep throwing stuff out there and you don't really know what will work. Like, if it doesn't work, if it's not of consequences, it doesn't matter because you just move on to the next idea. It's very fashionable now, they say pivoting. And I think that's a very good word. Is when you think about it, you just find other ways to continue with your idea, and have a different idea, and just leaving behind so-called failures as such. I think maybe another thing with with high achievers is that failure is like quite unacceptable for us. We do not deal with so good with failures, because a lot of time you want to achieve high because you somehow don't feel like you're good enough or smart enough, and you want to achieve more. And to have failures is just quite crushing a lot of time. But I think what I heard from him as well is that actually before Mark or Zuckerberg or all these big names, before they become a big company, they have many small and like quite embarrassing kind of things, so small, so tiny, and so embarrassing to, like, to look at it now. Like, Facebook didn't really become big just overnight. It becomes Before that, there was so many ventures done by Mark that wasn't successful and was tiny in comparison. And Facebook also has to go through many failures, before they become who they are right now. And so I think that this idea of ignoring the failures and just say that, oh, there's a wall here, I'm turning around, is a very good way to look at so-called failures. Yeah, so I think that for particular this idea is really good in terms of, if you want to say, like, if you want to start something, say if you have a project that you want to start, like, grow your own food, um, or do something, a project, then you just have to expect many failures before you can start. And I think, especially even like YouTube channels, is like people always embarrassed about, like, will they succeed, but you don't worry about that. You just keep doing stuff and keeping on track. So I think this is one of the things, one of the lessons I learned from this YouTube channel, this podcast I listen to, and particular, all these giants in Y Combinator. I highly recommend you follow um, all his podcasts and his interviews, because he's a very thought-provoking person, and he has many good ideas in terms of how to be successful, and especially when it comes to entrepreneurship.